So you might have noticed some things have changed around here. At this point, I don't know how long it's been, I don't have a time frame on it, but I've stopped eating fake meat. I don't have a date where I made a decision and said, I'm gonna stop doing this. It just happened one day. As much as I can remember, the last time I had fake meat was back in July when I filmed the Beyond Chicken Panda Express video. Before that was maybe a month or two prior, where I had the chunk steak and I made that pastrami sandwich. That was really good. That was really, really good. Still probably one of my favorite things that I've made. It was, gosh, that chunk steak's out of this world. So this is not about me not really enjoying it anymore. Okay, so there's a vegan restaurant here in Orlando. I've talked about them a bunch on the channel. Earthy Picks. They make plant-based food without really using any fake meats. There's nothing in it that's like, you know, here's your beef burrito. It's just, I can't remember what they call it, and I have it constantly 3 or 4 times a week, but they make really good food without fake meats, just using, you know, beans and mushrooms and tofu, and it's just really good. It's my favorite. I actually remade one of their burritos here on the channel. Like, that's how obsessed I am. But when I eat it, I feel good. It feels nourishing. I kind of feel better about myself. It gives me energy, and it feels better to eat like that more often. Now, right off the bat, I want to say, there's nothing wrong with fake meat. I'm not saying that it's unhealthy or that you shouldn't eat it. I mean, it was a huge part of my health journey, me losing over 100 pounds and getting physically in shape and feeling fit. It was a big part of that. I ate it for years, and plant-based protein is good protein. And the cool thing is actually a lot of these like fake meat companies, Beyond and Impossible, and many others are taking strides to making their fake meats even healthier. The new Beyond Beef is really good, and it's really not that bad for you. But when it comes to processed fake meats, I was eating a lot of it. I probably had a Beyond or Impossible burger once a week. I would use the ground to make meatballs or make other just different types of meat and toss it into pastas or, you know, spaghetti sauce to make like a bolognese. I would make sloppy joes to make sandwiches. I would use the Impossible sausage or Beyond sausage to, you know, just have a sandwich or chop it up and throw it on top of a rice bowl. If I wasn't having that, I would have, you know, different vegan chicken nuggets. There's loads of different vegan chickens. The meaty chicken is really good, still one of my favorites. That's like a mushroom-based chicken. It's probably one of the least processed ones. Another one of my favorite local restaurants makes crunch wraps, and I would always get their chicken crunch wrap, and it was Gardein chicken. So I was probably eating a processed plant-based meat almost every day. It was quite a bit, and I think I just got tired of it. Years of eating like that. I was in a food rut. And I do that pretty often, actually. I know I'm talking a lot about what I used to eat, and I definitely want to get on how I eat now. I'm actually making a recipe right here. But I also want to tell you about Hungry Root, today's sponsor, which has also helped making it easier to eat well more often. I've been using Hungry Root a couple of years now, and I couldn't imagine going back to a time without it. Like I said, Hungry Root is the easiest way to eat healthy. One of Monica and I's most difficult decisions is figuring out what to eat for lunch, for dinner. We both work from home, we cook all of our meals together, and if we don't have something planned ahead of time, then we usually just end up eating junk. We'll order out, which might not be the healthiest option. And we were pretty fed up with that. And that's where Hungry Root comes in. Hungry Root does the grocery shopping for you. They send you fresh, high-quality groceries along with simple recipes. I love these recipes. I'm gonna make it again today. It's so good. Today I'm gonna be making the Mediterranean zucchini flatbread. It's so good. First, you take a short, fun quiz. It's just what you like to eat and what your goals are. Then they build you a personalized cart with all your grocery needs for the week. Each order is totally customizable, so you can use the suggestions or choose anything you want. You know, personally, I just use the suggestions. They always send high quality produce, healthy snacks, and so much more. But honestly, just look at this. Look at this. The recipes are so good. It's like one of my favorite things. So gang, the first 100 people to use my code SAUCE40 will get 40% off their first grocery order with Hungry Root. Use the link in the show notes or scan the QR code and use code SAUCE40 to get 40% off. Hungry Root, thanks for sponsoring today's video and for always providing me with incredible food, and the recipes are just so good. My God, I love this thing. Okay, we're back. So, since I've stopped eating a lot of the fake meats, I've realized that I stopped doing it and kind of started actively avoiding it. And what I'm talking about specifically when I'm talking about fake meat, I'm talking about the industrial processed plant-based burgers and chicken and porks and bacons, things like that. I'm not talking about seitan, which is usually just a flavored single ingredient wheat protein. That's something anybody can make at home, just very simple. Or even like textured vegetable protein. I still really enjoy that stuff, even though I haven't had either of them in about the same time frame. I honestly don't know why. I'm not really avoiding the textured proteins. I just haven't been in the mood for them. Like I said, I think I was really in a food rut. Now I'm making this video because if you've been around for a while, you've probably have noticed some of the changes on the channel. I'm not making nearly as much fake meat as I used to. It's really just not the thing that's on the top of my mind at the moment. I think the thing is the fake meat recipes used to really excite me because there was a lot of things that were new discoveries. And recently, there really hasn't been. When I first started making plant-based meats on the channel, Beyond and Impossible were new, and there was a lot of discoveries there as far as, you know, using glutamates and different savory elements to making things taste like beef, using methyl cellulose as a binder, and different starches to create different textures. And that was really fun and really exciting. But there hasn't been a whole lot of changes recently for things that you could do at home. You know, chunk steaks are incredible, but you can't really replicate that. And the same thing with like meaty. They're using an industrial setup to grow mushroom mycelium. And, you know, I've tried to do that, but it just doesn't really work. And then beyond that, there hasn't been really any new tech or exciting new discoveries for things that I feel that I could show and be excited about. I can keep making these plant-based meat recipes, but at this point, I feel like I would just be repeating myself. Now I'm focused on my health, getting into shape, fueling my runs and my workouts, and just getting stronger after my weight loss. Now I wake up in the morning and I have an avocado or a mango. I love mangoes. I eat a mango probably every day. Sometimes I make like a protein shake and I top it with like blueberries and strawberries. We eat so many blueberries and strawberries. I have never had this much fruit in my life. Tofu has become a staple along with beans, chickpeas, and lentils. I think when I get into food ruts, they're food ruts that last for years. I know I can't be the only one, but for years I was eating Subway every day for lunch. Then I moved on to Chipotle bowls every single day for lunch. At one point I was eating poke bowls every day. Then the Beyond and Impossible stuff started, and that lasted for years. And now it's been a lot of beans. Now, I'm not saying this is where the focus of the channel is going to go. I don't want to change things drastically, but I have been enjoying the content that I've been putting out. It's been a little bit more difficult because I know it's not always the content that you might be looking for. Over the last 2 years, my weight loss journey has completely changed my life. I used to smoke a lot of weed. That was for stress and anxiety, but then I noticed the weed was causing me more stress and anxiety, so I gave that up. I've never been a big drinker. I don't drink a lot of alcohol, never really have. Maybe when I was a little younger. But now I really consider when I'm going to have any alcohol because it's going to affect my next day. It's gonna affect my run or my workout, and I don't want it to. So I pretty much have given that up. I started really noticing the same things about how food was affecting my next day. So I've made lots of changes, and that's where we're at now. I was never a huge fruit person. We never really had fruit around the house. We would buy fruit and most of the time it would just end up in the compost. But now we eat it nonstop. I mean, you're always gonna see fruit. Peaches, apples, pears, you know, mangoes like crazy. I was never really big into legumes. It was always a thing that I kind of avoided. I liked black beans, but now constant. It's almost every day. I noticed that when I would eat legumes for dinner, my runs would be better the next day. I felt fueled, I felt energized. So over time, I just kind of passively made the switch. I just kind of told myself that in general, I wanted to eat less processed food, and it happened. But to the extreme, I'm eating very, very little processed, almost none. Now again, I'm not saying there's anything specifically wrong with it. I think you can have lots of things in moderation. I'm telling you why things have changed on the channel and what I'm doing now. So one of my favorite things is just like a lentil stew. It can be made so many different ways. It's literally endless. You can flavor it how you like. I personally just like to add some garlic and a whole chopped onion to a large pot with around 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Let those cook down, get nice and watery. Add a couple of chopped carrots, maybe some peppers, a tomato. If you have celery, it's really whatever you have in the fridge or whatever you feel like at the moment. Then I add in some tomato paste, some cumin, chili powder, turmeric, salt, a decent amount of black pepper. Today I'm gonna drain a little box of chickpeas, toss the chickpeas in with some dry lentils. You always have to wash those first. Today we're using the green ones. You can really use any lentil. The red ones might get a little squishy, so I don't use the red lentils. Then around 3 cups of veggie broth. Just bring that to a simmer, let it cook for about 40 minutes. I'm adding a little bit of the avocado cream that I had from the recipe I made the other day, and I mean some cilantro, and this is awesome. I mean, look at this. This is awesome. It's loaded with protein, loaded with fiber, and it just tastes good. I'm gonna feel good about eating this. So, I wanted to ask, now that I'm not making as much fake meat, still gonna make it on the channel. Anytime something pops up that I find interesting, I will make it again. But everything's gonna probably be a little less processed than what you might be used to on the channel. But what more would you like to see from me? I'm just curious, and I'd love to hear from you. My God, you want some soup? My God, it's so good.